What is going on, guys? My name is Taylor Stuber, and I'm here to break down this 11-game NBA slate on DraftKings and PrizePicks.com. If you guys are new here, welcome. If you guys are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Likes and comments are also greatly appreciated. I try to answer as many of those comments as I can throughout the day. Of course, guys, this is a great primer to the slate, but with there being 11 games and with it being the NBA, there is a lot of news that breaks throughout the day. So if you guys want to have that most up-to-date information, make sure to join my live stream an hour before lock. You will want to be there. If you guys played Bruce Brown, you weren't in my stream. We got off of Bruce Brown. I warned you guys about it with how the preseason games were going for the Brooklyn Nets. If he wasn't grabbing the start and they played anything like they did in their dress rehearsal game, he was not going to play. And we pivoted off of him to a lot of Nicholas Claxton, who did decent, but we moved on to even more Nemanja Bjelica, who put up a 40-burger last night and had us taking down a ton of tournaments. And yeah, if you guys want to know exactly what I'm doing on FanDuel and DraftKings just like that, make sure to join my Patreon linked down below. It is $25 a month. You get my game notes, full FanDuel lineups, cheat sheets for DraftKings and FanDuel, as well as my lineup cores for DraftKings, and my prize picks plays that I post every single day, which, by the way, we cast our first prize picks play of the season last night. The under LaMarcus Aldridge, under Kevon Looney, was not on those guys at all, and they easily hit the under, especially LaMarcus Aldridge after we got that news. But let's just jump right into this slate. If you guys want to join my free Discord, it is linked down below in the description, as well in my pinned comment. If you guys take a look, just scroll back here. It is absolutely littered with screenshots of the Patreon and Discord members. I mean, it is just everywhere. We had an amazing start to the season. Hope you guys join this. I can't wait to see you guys in there. Welcoming to all new people. But let's start off with the Indiana Pacers versus the Charlotte Hornets. First of 11 games at 223.5 over under. Hornets are currently 2-point favorites. The Pacers are going to be without Karis LeVert, TJ Warren, Keelan Martin, Jeremy Lamb, and Justin Holiday are questionable. So if Jeremy Lamb and Justin Holiday miss this game, Chris Duarte will grab the start. He is $3,300 and will be definitely in play, squarely in play. He grabbed starts in the preseason. He showed out in some of those games, some of the games not so much, but he is definitely a value if Holiday and Jeremy Lamb miss this game. But it's up top that with Domantas Sabonis, who I really want to talk about at $9,800. I think some people are going to be scared off of him, but you go back to last year with Domantas Sabonis, he was deeply into these 10Ks, and people were proud to pay that price tag. And got in games that the Pacers are competitive, which Vegas indicates this game should be competitive. Sabonis plays upwards of 40 minutes, averages 1.4 fantasy points per minute with his current roster with no TJ Warren, Karis LeVert. So I absolutely love Domantas Sabonis on this slate, and I don't mind Chris Duarte if he does grab the start there. You just want to make sure that Jeremy Lamb and Justin Holiday are out before you do that. On the Charlotte side, I'm not really interested in all that many players. I don't mind LaMelo Ball, but this Hornets team is really hard to pin down because they are pretty deep and they don't really stretch out the minutes too far past the 32 minute mark. So LaMelo Ball, if he's not playing any more than 32 minutes, he has to be very efficient in his time out there. And with there being 11 games on this slate, I think there are much better spots to go to. Move over to the Chicago Bulls versus the Detroit Pistons. The Bulls may have the tightest rotation in the entire league. Kobe White is not going to play in this game, but the starting lineup plus Alex Caruso, their sixth man, are going to play almost all of the minutes on this team, so they are all squarely in play. But I think Patrick Williams at 4,200, with how thin the Chicago Bulls front court is, I think he's in line to play 32 minutes in this game. He is only 4,200. I think Alex Caruso, only 3,500, ends up playing 28 minutes in this game, and I think that they are decent enough per minute producers to easily pay off their $4,200 and $3,500 price tag. I don't mind the more expensive Bulls guys. If I were to choose out of the top four, it would be Lonzo Ball, just because I get these savings at 6,900. I think he is the biggest beneficiary on this team from moving from the Pelicans to the Chicago Bulls. Just so many opportunities for assists. His rebounding numbers should go up, not playing next to Zion Williamson and Steven Adams. And so, yeah, I like Lonzo Ball quite a bit today, but it's really Patrick Williams and Alex Caruso who I'm focusing on from the Chicago team. On the Detroit Pistons team, a team I'm definitely not interested in. Cade Cunningham, Chris Smith, Isaiah Livers are already ruled out. Very, very tough matchup for this Pistons team, and you're not really getting any discounts on them. I think they're priced accordingly, and that's not enough for me to gain any interest in any of these players. You know, we're gonna have to see like a pop-up injury for me to be interested in anybody. But like I said, I think they're priced accordingly, and I'm not really interested in anybody on that Detroit Pistons team. Move over to the Boston Celtics versus the New York Knicks, a 218.5 over under. The Knicks are currently 2-point favorites. The Boston Celtics are going to be without Al Horford. Jaylen Brown is questionable, so we know Jaylen Brown had missed a couple of games due to COVID precautions and stuff, but it looks like he should be good to go in this game. You know, they say that if he isn't going to be good to go in this game, it's going to be due to conditioning. So if he misses this game, I mean, Jason Tatum is going to be one of the best spend-up options. We look at late into last year with no Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum was putting up huge numbers in his absence. But I do think that Jaylen Brown ends up playing. And then with no Al Horford, we should see Robert Williams start and play, you know, high 20s minutes. Go back to last year, he averaged 1.27 fantasy points per minute in 1,030 minutes. So a super big minutes sample for Robert Williams. And only $5,100. I think he's going to be overlooked on this slate. I think he is a very, very good play. On the New York Knicks side, they are going to be likely without Nerlens Noel. He is doubtful. Julius Randle last year led the league with 37.6 minutes per game. RJ Barrett was 15th in the league with 34.9 minutes per game. It is a Tom Thibodeau team. We know that he is going to run his starters big minutes for the most part. And Julius Randle at $8,800 is that is insulting. I mean, he averaged 1.25 fantasy points per minute last year, playing big minutes. This matchup isn't as imposing as it seems. And I think $8,800, that price tag is just way too cheap. And he's actually even cheaper over on FanDuel. So I love Julius Randle today. And then RJ Barrett at $5,700. You know, he's not quite a fantasy point per minute player, but if he's going to play 34, 35 minutes in a competitive game, $5,700 is just way too cheap for RJ Barrett. Not really interested in anybody else on this team. Mitchell Robinson, they haven't told us if he's going to continue to come off the bench or if he's going to start. But it does look like they want to experiment more with with Julius Randle at the 5 and Obi Toppin at the 4. Go with that small ball lineup because the offensive rating of the New York Knicks with those two on the court together was through the roof in the preseason. So I think that they continue to give more looks to that moving forward. Move over to the Washington Wizards versus the Toronto Raptors. One of the best games to target on the slate, just from a pricing standpoint. The over-under isn't all that enticing at 218.5, but you know, as we go through this slate, none of the games really have very impressive over-unders. The Raptors are currently 2.5-point favorites. The Wizards are without Thomas Bryant, Cassius Winston. Rui Hachimura is doubtful in this game. Don't believe that he is going to play. Bradley Beal exited the Wizards' final preseason game last year, or in the last preseason game. He was 7th in the league last year in minutes with 35.8 per game. Go back to last year with no Russell Westbrook on the court. Bradley Beal, 40.3% usage rating at 29.3 assist percentage, averaged 1.5 fantasy points per minute. This Toronto Raptors defense isn't nearly as good now without Pascal Siakam. He is out due to injury, and then Kyle Lowry is no longer with the team. So this Toronto Raptors defense takes quite a hit, and I think Bradley Beal can take advantage of it. And then the rest of this team is just entirely too cheap. Spencer Dinwiddie, $4,900. Yeah, that is a crazy price tag. He's probably my favorite point per dollar play on the entire slate. Go ahead and lock in Spencer Dinwiddie in your lineups. I think Kyle Kuzma, I know he's burned a lot of people in the past when he played for the Lakers, but he has shown his upside on this current team in the preseason already with this Wizards team. 5,100 is probably too cheap for him. And then Daniel Gafford and Montrezl Harrell at 4,900 and 3,700. So with no Thomas Bryant, they are going to continue to split all 48 center minutes, and no way that you divvy it up. Even if Gafford plays 28 minutes and Montrez plays 20 minutes, both these guys are phenomenal per minute producers and can easily both pay off their price tags. Daniel Gafford last year averaged 1.22 fantasy points per minute. Really interested in that entire starting lineup. Plus Montrezl Harrell off the bench. Move over to the Toronto Raptors. They're going to be without Pascal Siakam, Yuta Watanabe. Chris Boucher is questionable, but it is believed that he's going to play in this game. So that's going to muddy the front court minutes of Kem Burge and Precious Achiuwa. Goran Dragic has been starting at shooting guard over Gary Trent Jr. Gary Trent Jr. has been coming off the bench in the preseason. Scotty Barnes will likely start until Pascal Siakam plays, and we know Nick Nurse likes to play his starters big minutes. He is only $3,400. A pretty funny price tag. I don't think you have to go here, but I think he is a good play nonetheless at $3,400, considering he's probably going to play 28-30 minutes in this game. And then Fred VanVleet without Kyle Lowry and Pascal Siakam last year, 287 minutes at 31.4% usage rating, 32.3 assist percentage, while averaging 1.19 fantasy points per minute. I like Fred VanVleet quite a bit, but the guy I really want to talk about on this team is OG Anunoby at $6,100. You know, it has been said that he has improved his offensive game in the offseason, and he is looking to have a much larger offensive role this season. If you look at his numbers last year without Kyle Lowry and Siakam on the court, it doesn't look all that impressive, but I think he is truly transcending his offensive game, and he is only $6,100. He's going to play big minutes for this Toronto Raptors team, and if you go look at all 4 preseason games, OG Anunoby led the starting lineups, even with Fred VanVleet, in all 4 of those games in usage. So I think in a week's time, we see OG Anunoby 7K or higher. So I think we are going to look back and see that we are having the opportunity to play OG Anunoby at $6,100. I absolutely love OG today. Move over to the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Memphis Grizzlies. A 216.5 over under. Grizzlies are 7.5 point favorites. Yeah, from the Cleveland side, I'm really not interested in anybody. I think they're priced up entirely too much. The only guy I would consider playing is Evan Mobley at $4,500. Their rookie big man. We have seen that he has a propensity to be a good per minute producer, as we saw in the preseason. I'm expecting him to play around 30 minutes, so he is in play at $4,500. But the rest of this team is entirely too expensive for me, even without Dylan Windler and Dean Wade. Memphis Grizzlies team, they're going to be without Dylan Brooks. He has not been playing in the preseason games as well. I think John Morant is a bit too pricey for me. This should be a slow-paced game, not really suitable for John Morant. But the guy I really want to target is Jaren Jackson Jr. You go back to last year with no Dylan Brooks or Jonas Valanciunas on the court. Jaren Jackson Jr. averaged 1.28 fantasy points per minute, and Jaren Jackson Jr. has always been very, very good, but the durability has been his biggest issue. But this is the first game of the season. He has had a full offseason. He has been healthy enough for the Memphis Grizzlies to give him a 4-year, $105 million contract extension. They're clearly not concerned about his durability issues, and you shouldn't be, especially in Game 1. He is only $5,900, like OG Anunoby. I think this guy is going to end up being deep into the 7Ks in a short amount of time, and we're going to look back and see that we had the opportunity to play Jaren Jackson Jr. at $5,900. I'm not going to squander that opportunity here. I think I'm going to play him in pretty much all of my lineups. I love Jaren Jackson Jr. today. The rest of this team isn't all that appealing, although Steven Adams in the preseason game, if you look at the rotations, it looks like he's about to play, 28-30 minutes, and at $4,700, he is definitely viable. Move over to the Houston Rockets versus the Minnesota Timberwolves at 227.5 over under. Timberwolves are 5.5 point favorites. The Rockets are going to be without John Wall, Garrison Matthews. Daniel House is questionable, but on DraftKings at least, this team is entirely too expensive. I think Christian Woods is priced appropriately, but Kevin Porter Jr., $7,800, is a bit too pricey for me. I believe he is $6,200 over on FanDuel, where I like him a lot more than I do on DraftKings. And then down here at the bottom, Alperen Sengun is minimum price, $3,000. He's going to pick up whatever backup center minutes there are behind Christian Wood and Daniel Tice. So if he can scrap up 16, 18 minutes, he can destroy this $3,000 price tag. And if this game blows out, which it very well could, I like him quite a bit, but mostly a GPP play. And then Jalen Green, probably second in odds with for Rookie of the Year, only $4,200. Probably going to play 30 minutes in this game, maybe a little bit more. I do trust that this Houston Rockets team is dedicated to running their young guys a bit more. So guys like Kevin Porter Jr., Wood, Jayshawn Tate, Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun, I think their minutes are relatively safe on this Houston Rockets team. But before I forget, I wanted to go over to Prize Picks and show you some of my favorite picks that I wanted to go over, and I already went over one of them. That is the over OG Anunoby, 17.5 real points. That is one of my favorite Prize Picks plays. If you guys want to play over here and take advantage of the deal that they're running right now, you can get a 100% match bonus up to $100 by using code Taylor, TYLOR, and I give away my free plays over here. This is one of my favorite sites to play over. I've been working with them for a very, very long time, and I'm fortunate enough to have them sponsor me throughout the entire NBA season. So yeah, I will help you with any plays that you want to. If you have any questions, I love the over on OG Anunoby, 17.5 points, and I like the over on Julius Randle, over 22.5 points. If you place both of these and press a power play, you can triple your money up. If both of these guys go over there, you kind of treat it like a parlay. Yeah, if you have any questions about these, I think that there are a lot of exploitable numbers. Like I said, yesterday we hit the unders on Kevon Looney and LaMarcus Aldridge very, very easily. I'll talk about it a bit more in my stream later on today, but yeah, I think there are some pretty exploitable numbers over there. We'll move on to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're going to be without Patrick Beverley. He is out due to suspension. Jalen Noel, Jordan McLaughlin, they are questionable. Karl Anthony Towns averaged 1.43 fantasy points per minute last year. D'Angelo Russell 1.2, Anthony Edwards 1.03. This is as good of a matchup as it possibly gets. A pace-up spot against the Houston Rockets, who have the worst defense in the entire NBA. I think all these guys are definitely in play, but I'm really just not getting to them all that much because there are much better plays on this slate as a whole. Move on to the Philadelphia 76ers versus the New Orleans Pelicans at 226 over-under. 76ers are currently 3-point favorites. The Sixers are going to be without Ben Simmons, Shake Milton, Grant Riller. Funny enough, Ben Simmons is suspended in this game by his own team for disciplinary issues. Yeah, I mean, that whole situation is such a mess. And, that might light a fire under Joel Embiid's ass to really just show that they don't need Ben Simmons. And I think he could really show off in this game. Only $10,600. I think this price tag is actually too cheap for him. Go back to last year without Ben Simmons on the court. Joel Embiid in 463 minutes, a massive 43.6% usage rating, 21.5 total rebound percentage, 22.2 assist percentage, while averaging 1.84 fantasy points per minute. I'm expecting him to play mid-30s minutes in this game. He's fresh coming into this season. Very dominant in the limited time that he saw in the preseason. He's looking good. I think he dominates this New Orleans Pelicans team. He is my favorite spin-up option on the entire slate. And then Tyrese Maxey, with no Ben Simmons, with no Shake Milton, should have the first go at the starting point guard position for the foreseeable future. He's only $4,000. Take Ben Simmons and Shake Milton off the court last year. He averaged 1.07 fantasy points per minute. I also think Tobias Harris is a decent play in his own right, but $7,600 price tag is not that enticing to me. On the opposite side, if you want to bring it back with somebody, it's probably Brandon Ingram without Zion Williamson on the team. But if you go back and look at his race without Zion Williamson last year, it's not really that fair because he was replaced. Steven Adams was replaced by Jonas Valanciunas. So Jonas Valanciunas takes up way more usage than Steven Adams could ever imagine. So I still like Brandon Ingram. Think he's a pretty decent play. Move over to the Orlando Magic versus the San Antonio Spurs. Yeah, I'm really not interested in anybody on either of these teams. The Magic, even with them being so short-handed, they're going to be without Michael Carter-Williams, Markelle Fultz, Jonathan Isaac, Chuma Okeke, Ejuan Moore, and then Jalen Suggs is questionable, but it looks like he is aiming to play in this game. Jalen Suggs is only $4,000, so I guess that he is in play at that price tag. But again, he's probably only going to play mid-20s in this game, maybe high 20s. Could pay off this price tag, but I think there are a lot of good plays. Like at the same price, I would much rather play Tyrese Maxey. I guess if you want to get off of Tyrese Maxey, a direct pivot would be Jalen Suggs. But I'm probably going elsewhere on this slate. And on the San Antonio Spurs team, there's no more DeMar DeRozan, no more Rudy Gay, no more Patty Mills. So the usage is really going to be condensed between DeJounte Murray and Derek White. But I think they're priced appropriately, especially in this matchup. I think this matchup is going to be very, very slow. If you want to play those guys, I think they're fine. They're personally just secondary plays for me. And if Thaddeus Young, he's a very good permanent producer. If he can find minutes somehow, I think he is in play. But GPPs only. Move over to the possible blowout of the day, the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Utah Jazz, a 220.5 over-under. Jazz are 12-point favorites in this game. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, we know what the deal is with him on this Oklahoma City team. They are very, very shorthanded on talent on this team. And so Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to garner all the usage, all the assist percentage that he can handle. But this is a road game. They are 12-point dogs against the Utah Jazz, one of the best, if not the best defense in the entire league. I'm probably shying away from him. If I'm interested in anybody on this Oklahoma City team, it's probably rookie Josh Giddey, the 6th overall pick. He had been playing deep into the preseason games, so we know that they are not scared of playing him with these scrubs. And so if this game does, so he should start the game. And if this game blows out, he'll likely close the game as well. And that's where he's really going to score his fantasy points, because he really does his best when he is facilitating the offense. He almost got a triple-double in that last game without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think that we could see an opportunity for that to happen sometime in this season, but he's only $3,800. I think he is definitely in play. Derek Favors, another sneaky GPP option on this slate. We saw Al Horford last year, in the same exact role, where he is an older veteran guy and he's not playing the most minutes, but in the minutes that he is given, he has been very, very dominant. I think Derek Favors could be that guy this year, and he is only $3,600. It's unfortunate that he takes up a super valuable center spot, but I think that was worth mentioning. The Utah Jazz, I'm just really not that interested in them. I think they are entirely too priced up in this matchup. I think there are much better spots on the slate. Move over to the Denver Nuggets versus the Phoenix Suns. I'm running out of steam. 2 games left though. The Denver Nuggets versus the Phoenix Suns. The Nuggets are going to be without Jamal Murray. So you know what that means. We want to target Nikola Jokic and Michael Porter Jr. You go back to last year with no Jamal Murray and almost 1,500 minutes from Jokic. He averaged 1.64 fantasy points per minute. Michael Porter Jr. in nearly 1,400 minutes without Jamal Murray averaged 1.08 fantasy points per minute. And with them really being the only 2 offensive players on this team, they are going to stagger their minutes a lot, and so that is only going to be beneficial for the both of them. I think they are squarely in play. Jokic probably my second or third favorite spend up option. Michael Porter Jr. I think is a very good option at $6,400. The rest of the team I'm not all that interested in. And then on the Phoenix Suns team, they are relatively healthy without Dario Saric. I'm not really interested in anybody on the team. If I were to mention somebody on the Suns, it would probably be Landry Shamet, just because he could be the first or second guy off the bench. He has gotten a lot of praise from Monty Williams. Should probably play mid-20s minutes, and he is the bare minimum, and he gives you a guard and forward eligibility spot. So if you're looking for a bare minimum guy that's not a center, so not Alperen Sengun, it would probably be Landry Shamet for me. In this Sacramento-Portland game, this is one of the highest over-unders on the entire slate. It is the highest over-under at 232.5. The Trailblazers are 5-point favorites. Start with the Sacramento Kings. Yeah, Marvin Bagley was told by the coaches that he is not going to be in the rotation moving forward. They have no plans of using him at all, and so that's going to open up some wing minutes for guys like Buddy Hield, like Harrison Barnes, Tyrese Halliburton. It just secures their minutes. But I think that the Kings are priced up just way too much. I think their minutes are secure in the 30-minute range, and if you have a hot take on the Kings, I mean, by all means, go and play them. This is a good matchup, but I think that they're a bit too expensive for me. Like, I like De'Aaron Fox on the slate, but 9,300, that's a pretty steep price tag when I can get Bradley Beal for a couple $100 more at that guard spot. And then more of the same on the Portland Trail Blazers. I guess to a lesser extent, I guess I can justify playing CJ McCollum and Nurkic in that 7K range more than I can justify playing Buddy Hield and Harrison Barnes. I think they're in play, but not my favorite plays on the slate. Again, if you guys are playing this slate, I think your whole lineup needs to be all slam dunks. I don't think you want to be questioning any of your players. And obviously, this is early in the day, so we are going to have a lot more news come out throughout the day. And I will be sure to update you guys in the Patreon, in the Discord, and in the live stream an hour before lock. Make sure to join that live stream if you guys want the most up-to-date information. I also answer as many questions as I possibly can. I'm usually pretty good at getting to all of them. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, like this video. But best of luck tonight, guys. And until next time, peace.